Hello, welcome to CDH Budget Brews. I'm Tim, and tonight I'm joined by my friends Bad Dog and Clay from the Kaalia Discord. Say hi, Clay.
Hi, Clay.
Say hi, Bad Dog.
Hi, Bad Dog.
All right, thanks, guys. Um, so as you can probably guess by me dragging a couple of the Kaalia guys over, that we're gonna brew a bad deck tonight. Isn't that the joke?
The worst.
The worst. Fucking Mardu.
Oh, we're the
So
only. Yeah.
no, go on. Yeah, the only one. So
We're the only ones without a recommended deck list on the database, and we kick more ass than most of the other color combinations combined.
So, with for those of you who aren't familiar with how Kaalia works, Kaalia is a 2/2 flyer for a Mardu and a colorless, so that's 4 mana. And when she attacks, you get to poop out an angel, demon, or dragon. So, if you guys would, since both of you are pretty much more knowledgeable of this deck than I am, can you guys at least go over the basics of the budgetless version before we venture into the budgeted version?
Your honor, sir.
Fine. Okay. Well, all right. So this has been through a lot of variations over the years, and it very much depends on sort of what your angles are of attack. And this will vary by player. So yes, like maybe my list has a lot of clout and infamy right now, but it doesn't mean that it should dominate your decision making if you want to pick up this general and play it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the key aspect that's going to cross over all Kaalia lists really is that it's the idea that you want to be able to kill the table in a single attack. So because of that, the threats that you're dropping need to be something incredibly powerful. And usually that's broken down into 4 demons at the moment. There is a 5th that just actually got released with Kaldheim, and that's a Burning Rune demon. And we can sort of talk about where that one fits in later.
Okay.
But usually the 4 are Razaketh, Runescarred Demon, Villas, and then Doom Whisper.
Phyllis, and then Doom Whisperer. What is Doom Whisperer?
Yeah.
That's pay 2 life to surveil. Okay. That's to mill your deck to help fuel your breach, I'm assuming.
Exactly, yeah.
For the uninitiated. Okay. Cool. Perfect. And then, so once you get your single attack and you get your fatty out, where do we go from there?
So the way that this works, and so this gets back into that other angles of attack aspect. Most of these demons are functionally the same as like powerful storm card enablers.
Okay.
So when one of these demons hit, you're usually trying to walk through a series of steps to assemble a combo and win. And it's kind of like playing Ad Nauseam or some sort of massive card advantage engine.
Okay. And what are those lines?
Oh God.
I mean, just the basics. Like,
lot.
we don't need the 84-page dissertation that the Frog server has. We just need like the TLDR.
So the problem is that they're all different. Yeah, Clay, if you wanna give this one a stab too, you can. But each different thing is different.
Yeah, I think Villas is probably the most easiest to explain because when we started testing Villas in the beginning, we had a very painful mana base, and we were exploiting the results of that. You won't necessarily have that advantage here, nor do I think you want it. But we started incorporating, and this is basically off Bad Dog's lead. I'm just kind of reiterating the history of the thing here. We're utilizing Villas as a draw engine based off of like things like Fire Covenant, where we're paying life to control the board and also draw cards to enable a follow-on combo initiative thereafter. So that's probably the easiest way to explain, or easiest card to explain, is Villas.
Okay.
I think so.
And
maybe go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So we get Villas out. We start drawing some cards with Villas. We probably get into either get an ad nauseum if we can, or
Yeah.
like assemble some type of breach combo.
So the easiest way to conceptualize it is you have to think of your end goal. And your end goal, the combos that you're killing the table with, are usually some sort of Leonin Relic Order, Animate Dead loop,
Okay.
with a some sort of kill condition like a Mayhem Devil,
Okay.
or you're looping Praetor's Grasp with Underworld Breach. And so the demons basically function as engines that you can build up all this card advantage and be able to combo off that way.
Or tutor up your combo. Okay. All right.
Exactly. So
cool.
Like the chains are different, but the end result always is basically the same.
Is either LRW or Praetor's Grasp, depending on what you're doing. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's good. I think I actually kept most of that in when I stripped the list and worked on the mana base a little bit. So, okay. Sure. That's good. So I'm going to flip over to the budget list if you guys happen to have that in front of you. Do you guys need the link again or you got it?
It's good to go.
Okay.
All right.
So currently we're sitting at 81 cards. We are sitting at about a little over $100 to work with, maybe 110, 130. I did the land base. It might need a little tweaking at the end just based on kind of where we land color intensity wise. So let's go ahead and start with the ramp. Unless there is core combo pieces that I accidentally excluded, we should probably put those back in and adjust the budget accordingly.
I'm going through it now. We might as well just start on the ramp aspect because that's actually perhaps the most important part of the deck in terms of what you're going to notice when you're playing with it. Because it's sort of a timetable that you're on.
Right.
And if you don't get the timetable really down, you end up behind against the rest of the field.
Okay. So one of the things to kind of keep in mind when you're building budget CH decks, at least from my philosophy, is that your budget is going to kind of scale, what budget you can get away with kind of scales with your play group. So ideally, you're either going to be playing a deck that is similar in power level based on how optimal you can go versus trying to jam a $500 list against a bunch of budgetless proxy decks. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is this kind of going to be a little more at your LGS or Command Fast or a private play group that's kind of power scaling up. And this is a good way to kind of get a base and get a start and then kind of move up from there. Mm-hmm. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we're not going to have Mox Diamond. We're, maybe we have a Chrome Mox, maybe not. You know what I mean? I do have a ramp template that I curate that can be a good shortcut for some ideas. I will post that in the chat for you right there. It's on the website. So I noticed you've already got wrong one. I noticed you already have Arcane Signet, Felware Stone. I left in the Lotus Petal. You got the Rakdos Charm. You got Soul Ring, the Black-White Talisman, the Red-Black Talisman, and that's it. So your original list ran 16 artifacts. We had to cut all the spendy ones, which puts us at 8. So it looks like we need to add about 8 more rocks, 7 more rocks. Because we're probably not counting LED as a rock. It's more of a combo piece, I'm assuming.
So one of the sort of that timetable aspect that I was talking about, from a strategic perspective, you are wanting to be able to land Kaalia by turn 2. And that
even in a lower power meta?
that's going to have to be set back. So
right.
The reason why you want to land it so early is because you're trying to cut off your opponent's abilities to interact.
Right.
So most of the time they're not going to want to hold up a 2-mana kill spell like Assassin's Trophy early in the game. They would much rather be holding up a 1 CMC counterspell or a force or something. Yeah. If they force your Kaalia, you actually end up better on the trade because you have all of your other combos still available.
Right. Hmm.
So the
So
speed is it's very important.
so we're gonna more treat this like we would treat it like a storm deck versus like a reanimator deck. So usually when I brew storm decks, I actually jam the
Well, it's a
budget, most of
mix.
the budget into the into the ramp and lands, and then like basically the interaction is like, here's your duress, hope you get there. You know what I mean? Because you're really focusing on speed. So probably with that in mind, why don't we add back in Chrome Mox?
I would say that's a pretty good one.
And actually, why don't we just do this? Here, I can just pull it from the list I deleted the stuff from. All right, so put Chrome Mox back in. Joel Lotus is $80, man.
You don't need the Jeweled Lotus. It's good, but you don't need it.
What about Mana Vault?
I love the vault. That enables some pretty excellent
Okay,
plays.
all right.
Especially if you're on Pier.
Yes.
We might have to make some considerations later, but I'm more than happy to put it in now. So, all right, it's in. Do we want to try Max Opal? I mean, that basically is like the whole $100 there. Those 3 cards. Actually, it's a little
What
lower.
budget? What's our price at so far? I thought
Well, we're at
were
485 currently. If you hit refresh,
485. Okay.
and we can work some stuff around. Like, I mean, to be honest, like there's cards that I tend to cut like Reanimate's great, but Dance of the Dead is like $2.
Well, so we're gonna have to go and address the tutor aspect because the general doesn't do card advantage. So let's leave the opal out.
Okay, Opal's
Um,
out. All right, that's fine.
I, I think
So
the
let's
vaults. How much is vault nowadays? That's so super.
$45, $48.
Jeez.
Actually, let me double check because prices do vary. So I just we calculate everything off of what Moxfield tabulates at. Yeah, $48. Chromox is 40.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those two are pretty important.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
hmm,
So here's some good. So I like Springleaf Drum as a good cheat as a good cheap low CMC rock. It's I mean obviously it's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
But you're able, using Prospector as an example, you can tap your Prospector for a color and then sack Prospector
Yep,
for a red,
and
and
then
then do your.
it helps you become mana positive. One that I'm a big fan. So one I'm a big fan of is Mindstone. Just because it later in the game you can just sack it to draw a card. I like Prismatic Lens.
hmm.
So if I had a vote against Prismatic, because it's an equipment.
No. Prismatic Lens is not an equipment.
Oh, I was thinking the other,
Paradise Mantle.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Been
No,
a long
Prismatic Lens is 2-drop, makes 1 colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it to filter into whatever color
There you
you
go.
need.
Yep.
And
I'm
you guys,
more of a fan personally of signets in this case. Like I'd rather bring in the Orzhov signet.
oh, I'm down.
Like so something. hmm. So one thing that we could do is things like Grim Monolith, Mana Vault, Mox Opal. We can basically play like a slower version of Kaalia, and then bring in more signets and like talisman sort of things. We can also, it's sort of cheaty, but we can actually run things like Blood Pet with Springleaf Drum, just because those guys are early quick ramp, but then they're also like more ways to tap the Springleaf Drum you were talking about.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's not terrible. Like
No,
I'm
I mean,
actually kind of on board with the drum.
well, and the other thing with it is like, I mean, we're gonna be playing like these are gonna be decks that are gonna be playing against like other decks with 2 mana ramp. They're gonna be playing like these are the people that say Arcane Signet is broke. Just because
But there also is actually there's a Jeweled Amulet, which is some old school tech, and I used to run that for a little while when
Ever Flowing
I was
Chalice
pretty
is
new to
another good one
CEH.
too.
Which one?
Everflowing Chalice.
The chalice is not bad. So really what it is, the key that you're trying to get with this deck is it's the input versus output in terms of your
Right.
ramp. So you want like the cost, the investment in terms of your cost to be super cheap, but then the output is high. So like the jeweled amulet, just because you can play it on turn one
Yeah.
and tap it to get to 3 mana on turn two, that is crucial for sort of the tempo aspects of playing down the general.
Okay.
And the
Jewel,
color.
Jeweled Amulet.
Yes, and the color.
Yep. Okay. I'm down.
Do
Let
we
me
have
think.
Skirt Prospector in this? Or not? Sorry. Yeah, we've
I,
got Simian Spirit Guide.
I added Blood Pet. There's Prospector's already in. We have Dockside. Um, we might want
This is,
to go on.
I think the Blood Pet's a great idea here because it gives you another out for culling the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little worried about the Springleaf Drum because, like, that's going to require, in terms of sequencing, it would be something like turn one, land a Blood Pet, tap it. But it's like a good stuff. This is going to be deceptively stronger than it seems for not having like Mana Crypt and Grim. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because you've got this super high ritual count. So,
Right. Which will help a lot.
right.
Um, we can also run. Is it Infernal Plunge?
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, I like that idea. Actually, I would cut the Springleaf Drum and then run Infernal Plunge
Over that?
alongside the Blood Pet and stuff.
Okay. Instead of running both?
Yeah. And so the reason why is just because the Springleaf Drum
Okay.
doesn't have a lot of hits in this kind of deck.
Right.
Not yet, at any rate. If we brought in things like Grand Abolisher or utility True Drops, then the drum's going to get a lot stronger.
Which I'm not opposed to us doing either.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. That's just something we should make the decision
Make
for a
note
little
of.
farther down the line. Infernal Plunge is a solid idea, though.
Infernal Plunge. Just waiting on it to populate. There we go. You guys can hit refresh if you want.
I've been doing that a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it happens. I can share my screen if you guys want.
Oh, good.
You're good? Okay. So to help with like the cheating cost, the cheating in of stuff, do we want to maybe add Dance of the Dead and kind of up the reanimator count a little bit?
Not yet, but we might want to consider that. And
Okay.
the reason, so the link between the dance that basically Reanimator and Storm have a lot of crossover between each other in terms of like strategy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing like Legacy, your Grizzlebrand is essentially an ad nauseum, right?
Right.
You just entomb, reanimate, Grizzlebrand, draw a bunch, and then depending on how much life, that's the difference between like a one-sided Wheel of Fortune or a full-blown Nos.
Right.
So with this deck, we're gated on tutors because of the budget aspects.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to be, in order to compensate for that, we're gonna have to be running cards like Tormenting Voice,
What's
just
that
all
do?
of the different kind of red and black draw spells.
How
And
about
in
Mindblade Render?
That's not terrible.
Some
We could do
1-3
Ezra Oddsmaker first.
Ezra. I like Ezra Osmaker.
But the mind, so if we, those sorts of cards are like kind of more mid-range engines,
They are,
which are perfectly acceptable.
Well, I was gonna
It's just
say
that's-
these decks will play like just by their nature, they will play a little more mid-rangey, but it's more of like I tend to think of them more as speed versus my opponents versus speed versus like the goldfish. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They'll these might not pop off till turn 5 or turn 4 or turn whatever, but the other deck the decks they're playing against are going to scale equally. It will be similar to if everybody is playing. It's just like when you guys play together, or you and the Finns play, or during the Super League or whatever. Like, the idea is that you play at parity with everybody. You know what I mean?
For sure. No, I'm a big fan of the project because like this is sort of where I started as well
Yeah,
into
a lot of people.
CVH.
Yeah, A lot of people
And
start
we
out
also
like
have a lot of people asking for it as well.
yeah,
Are they okay? Yeah.
yeah. Well, and the other thing is we can always do we can do an upgrade path too. That's another thing that I like to do. I did that with Cass. I did it with Blood Pod and CST and stuff. So that is a possibility. All right. So we've still got 10 cars to go, and we have $12. So
We're in tutor right now.
13.
Is it
But
is it possible to jam some islands into this somewhere? This is jokes.
oh, I would. I mean, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Now I'm curious, Grim.
How about
It's like
duress?
I like duress a lot. We're on both of the blasts, right? We've got silence. We don't have Orm's chant.
Orange Chance is like
Um,
$20.
Yeah, you don't need
I
you don't
pulled
need Orm's chant
I
at all.
pulled the ephemerate combo out. FYI,
You did what?
pulled out the ephemerate combo.
How much is ephemerate now?
Ephemerate's only $3, but what it combos with, which is the extra turn spell, is 30, and it didn't seem like
Oh,
it didn't seem like it was essential.
so ephemerate is a dockside doubler,
We
which
can
is
play
very
the
helpful.
ephemerate. That's fine. Or actually, no, I
It's
did. I left the ephemerate in. My bad. I lied.
I like it. It helps with RuneScar lines. Like, so the Final Fortune lines with Ephemerate are much more needed in the Spellseeker combo decks. Love you, FamG. Um, but
Yeah.
you don't really need to rely on the extra turn aspect
Okay.
with this deck. Final Fortune is sick, but it's more of like a red Cabal therapy. Or
Okay.
sorry, Cabal ritual, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, speaking of cabal things and
Sure.
therapies, how about cabal therapist?
Actually, that's very good if you want to go with that kind of more mid-rangey thing. Like it just depends on what you're wanting to support with your early game.
I'm throwing out ideas for you guys to tell me what to do. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you guys are the experts, not me.
So yeah, so this is kind of like where we start to break. I'm more of a farm variant guy, and Bad Dog's more of a combo guy. So I'm in favor of the smaller creatures, which help support in turn the sacrifice effects,
Yeah.
tutors and rituals and what have you. The problem with that is. Uh, it's almost easier to start at the in-game combo and work your way down to support than it is to start at support and work your way up to combo, which I think Bad Dog was referring to earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
Right. When you're building a combo deck, at least with sort of the one card and often two card combos like philosophies in mind,
Mm-hmm.
you're building the deck with sort of three card types. It's mana, payout, and then some sort of interaction suite.
Right.
The interaction's obviously pretty
So,
variable,
so,
but
so part of my suggestion with all of these like dongers or like little mid-rangey creatures is to help support things like Springleaf Drum, the sacrifice rituals, because you want a certain density of creatures, but you also want
Absolutely.
creatures that either A, draw you cards, or B, help you interact. So every card that I've been trying to suggest are low CMC creatures, semi-evasive, that do some type of interacting or give you some type of card advantage. Now,
so in that
while
regard, how about Hope of Girper? Like that's
that
a
was
silence
colorless.
effect. It's
next on
a
my
sacrifice
list,
thing.
that was the next one on my list.
Yeah. I really enjoy Hope. I ran it for a while. Moved on
There's
to other things, but it's a solid card.
yeah, and and like so with that in mind, actually, I Ranger's $13, man.
Ranger is absurdly powerful. It's really I am willing to go on record and say it might be the strongest white card in the format at the moment.
We can.
It's between what's up?
I said we can think about it, but we still haven't addressed the tutors yet. That's my only.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. I've been scanning through. It's kind of a shame that Grim is $13, but we might want to
Did you check
include
the?
that
Let me see what's on. There
regardless.
might be something in the tutor template. Some juicy things. All right, so
How about Dark Petition? Is that expensive right now?
$3. I love it, and it makes most of the time it makes 3 mana.
Most of the time.
So there you go. Budget demonic tutor.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the tutor template right now. So some of the possible ones is we have Dimir Houseguard, which is a 4-drop transmute. I don't know if that's of interest. We have Goblin Engineer, Goblin Matron, Dark Petition, Dimir Machinations, which is a transmute 3-drop. Obviously Gamble, Grim Tutor, Idyllic Tutor. Praetor's Grasp is already in the list. Let's see. Nope. Consultation is 22. You already have
We don't need
Mausoleum of
consult.
Secrets in. That's shared summon. Shred Memory, which is a transmute 2-drop.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I think that's worth running in this kind of deck. You want some sort of interaction against opponents that are on breach.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
I'm with you.
And you also, you also want to find a way. So, Dockside's really a mana engine in these black-red decks. So I didn't come up with like the name Bad to describe these things. It's actually another guy named Coco Loco who topped the June Cockatrice tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So in a bad deck, what it stands for is Breach, Ad Nauseam, Dockside.
Right.
Dockside, even if it's not making a lot of mana, like just 1, 2, 3, you want to get it on the field just so you can like sacrifice and recur it a whole bunch of times. Because people will play artifacts later once it's already down. So oftentimes you want to just find the Dockside and play it out for minimal value. And then turn it into an engine as you go. So Shred Memory is going to be really nice for doing like your Storm stuff.
Okay.
It also finds you Breach, by the way.
It does. It also finds Dockside, which you did mention. How about Goblin Matron? Do we want to do Goblin Matron?
I'm not sure.
So
that's a 3-drop, right?
It is a 3-drop. It helps us get Dockside. It helps us get Prospector.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps increase our density of like things to sacrifice to our rituals. It's just the thought.
Not actually.
Not saying it's the bee's knees, just saying it's like $1. And it gets Dockside. Yeah,
I could see some validity for what's our most expensive cards right now.
Hold on one second. Most expensive, I'm gonna resort real quick by price.
Yeah.
And that will answer
Dockside should be the most one of the most expensive cards in this list. It's hard to function without it for the Razaketh combos.
Yeah, I consider that to be the thing.
Because like if you don't run Dockside, then you're forced really to lean into LED, which is LED's great, but then you have to spend 200.
Yeah, so Dockside is the most.
Like Dockside Razaketh.
Yeah, Dockside Razaketh, and then Opposition Agent, which might be consideration for cutting. Just maybe. I know it's good. Don't beat me up.
No, I'm actually feeling you on that one. I'm like thinking in my head, maybe we cut the.
I mean, that's about how much gamble costs.
Because Oppo is only as good as the quality of tutors that are being run, and if we're playing lesser quality tutors with a less dense
amount, it kind of goes down. Reanimate's $10. Jessica's Will's $10. Entomb is $18. Fire Covenant is $5. Rain of Filth is $5. Cabal Ritual, Adnos, Silence are all about $5. Necropotence is $28. Necromancy is $16. For some reason, Animate Dead does not have a price. We will fix that right now. It's about $3. 304 is the 4th edition printing, which is, I don't know why it always does that. Mana Vault at 48, Crawl Mox at 39, followed by Lotus Petal at 12. And then out of our lands, the most expensive is Mana Confluence at $20. So,
So I'm wondering, the card that I'm really thinking about, if we can slide in here, is Grim Tutor. And Grim is, most CEDH decks don't want it. It is just expensive and painful for what they want to do. The one I have found, however, that in Kaalia, just really any mono black tutor, any tutor which puts a target to hand
is what you want.
Right, is gas. And so the CMC doesn't, it matters, but it's not like gonna break the bank. So there is even some real consideration for like diabolic tutor and stuff like that.
Well, so before we go there, why don't we do this? Let's cut that opposition agent, and that gives us money to add diabolic intent. And we are running 17 creatures.
Intent. Yeah, intent is a good choice, especially with the lower CMC cards, or excuse me, mana costed or price or number,
lower price,
whatever value, whatever.
Yeah. So
well, I'm wondering if we actually don't just cut Necropotence, because like Necropotence is a sweet card advantage engine, and it does work with Villas, but I almost think you'd rather have two payouts, with
or
like
two
the Grim
tutors.
Tutor. Right, exactly. Two tutors over the Necropotence in this case.
Okay, let's pull it.
So I agree with you as a lover of the Necropotence. I love my instant speed options at the end of turn. However, because we're not playing those specific combo packages, not that you have less value in Necropotence because it's obviously a powerful card. You're just not getting everything out of it that you possibly could. So
triple black is also going to be a lot harder to cast for a value engine
without the mana rocks. Yeah.
Well, and getting it down quick. Like, sure, you can burn a D-tutor to do it or a dark ritual or something, but so that actually drops our budget. We now have about $50 to like throw some tutors in. So Gamble's 15. 17.
I love Gamble. I freaking love Gamble. It's
right.
one of the.
Let's put it in.
I'd rather have Gamble over Opposition Agent. I know that's a hot take, but
dude, honestly,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
The whole point of these decks is to help people have something to start out with, and I think it's more important for people to like have the tutors that will scale, have the mana base that will scale, because people naturally want to buy the big fatties. They want to buy all the flashy shit, like, by nature, but they don't want to spend money on nuts and bolts. So what they do is they buy all the flashy stuff, and then they're like, how can I make the rest of this with bulk rares and draft chaff? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's not until, like, people kind of see what's going on that they realize. And I've had that conversation a lot of times with people, and it totally makes sense once they think about it. It's just kind of... I did the same thing before I learned, to be honest. So I went ahead and added Gamble and Diabolic Intent. So we still have 4 cards we need to add. So some nice inexpensive stuff that I like is I want to maybe, if we haven't, so one, we're a little light on ramp still. And
let me check. We should be like, so ideally at the end of the day, we want to be about 26 to 25 sources of ramp, not including your lands.
Okay, check. So we've got 13 rocks. And then, are we counting Burn Offering as ramp or as combo?
It's both.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We count Rain of Filth as ramp?
Yep.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Actually, we're good. So this is 27.
Okay.
And then 28 if you include the Goblin Matron.
Okay.
This is good. This is solid. The only question from now we to be thinking about is like if we want to scale down the CMC of the ramp. But like this should be a pretty solid kind of engine where you're chaining
Okay.
stuff together.
So we do still need to add 4 more cards. So a couple of things that I have found kind of useful. Um, a braid is really good.
I love a braid. Yeah, it's a solid one.
Like,
One of my
uh,
okay, so one of the problems with Mardu is that unless you're on a Timna deck, you don't tend to you often tend to be able to out tempo people, but you don't have the long-term sustainability.
mm-hmm.
So sweepers actually scale very well. And one of my favorite sort of little bits of tech is subterranean tremors.
What does that
So
do?
it's an X. What's up?
What does that do?
It is X and red. And it's an earthquake effect that deals damage to all creatures without flying. So your Kaalia dodges it. But if X is 4 or more, you blow up all artifacts in addition to the creatures. And if X is 8 or more, you get an 8/8 trampling lizard token.
Okay. I
So
mean,
there's a
It's
few.
pretty hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it that's cool. I mean, it works.
So the
I'm
reason why
down.
it's the reason why it's really scary is because you wipe a lot of stacks effects off the board that mess
Mm-hmm.
with you. So like
Right.
Grafdigger's Cage, Containment Priest, Null Rod, those all get taken care of for the same thing that you can use to just wipe out opponent's dorks.
Well, and here's the other thing. Chances are they're going to be playing against some like higher budgeted, like more optimized mid power decks. So they're going to be playing against bigger creatures. So having something that scales is pretty important.
Sure.
Like Earthquake is kind of a good one to like think about sometimes, you know. Um okay.
Well,
So I
this is
added a
Earthquake
braid.
with the legs.
Yep, we added the I didn't even know this card had existed, and this is Earthquake with upside.
Dude, it's amazing. This card, you have to just it looks really janky, but when you play with it, it's
I mean,
excellent.
it's good enough to be $6-7, so like
Okay.
why not? Like do we want to think about so with that in mind, do we want to think about maybe like some other small like do we want like mind blade? Do we want to add some more of those mid-range draw effects or no?
I think they're fine. We also so mid-range draw effects and even looting type cards like Tormenting Voice are
Well, we
decent.
have 2 slots left and then we have to start
Okay,
making cuts.
gotcha.
So, what last
What
two
do we
cards
really
do we want
miss?
to think about? Clay?
Hmm.
And there I do have reference material if you guys need it. Just for like with some ideas. Like they're not I'm not trying to
I know a combo card actually that might be perfect for budget builders.
what's that?
Uh, what is it? Stitcher Supplier.
So
Uh
okay, so I play Stitcher Supplier in concert with Underworld Breach. That's my preferred Hull Breacher workaround
uh-huh.
because you're not actually drawing the cards, but you're getting the card advantage
Mhm.
anyhow.
Yep.
So yeah, Stitcher
Stitcher
Supplier.
supplier. Okay.
Then we're upping the small creature count that helps support the sacrifice effects, which is
Which I
also a good reason to put, if we wanted it, the tap mana rock back in. But
oh the
Spring Link.
drum, yeah. Yeah, no, now it's looking a lot better actually. And by the you should explain the combo that you can do with Stitcher Supplier and like Culling the Weak, just for people who don't know it.
so essentially, with this, you cast Supplier. One of the conditions of it entering the battlefield is you mill yourself for 3. Um, you
Yep.
either have a underworld breach on the battlefield already, or you cast one, cast Culling the Weak, which is a ritual that you sacrifice a creature for. When the Stitcher Supplier dies, you also mill 3 cards on its dying trigger. So with that 4 mana from the Culling the Weak, you can basically cast Stitcher Supplier using the 6 cards that you milled netting mana, black mana.
You net one black or two each iteration.
It's 1 and 1, so two black mana.
Yeah, so you net
per
two black
iteration.
mana each loop. Okay. Which
And
can
it
go
pays
into
for itself because
Yep.
of the milling.
Yep. That it does. Are there any like actually yeah, and I mean if you wanted to, then that'll help, and then so then it pays for itself, and then as long as you're not, and then obviously you're probably going to get some kind of clunky, like some it'll fill up your graveyard, but you probably
Correct.
will have enough at the start to kind of keep going, so that way you can do things like win the game with your LRW.
Yeah, you don't want to lead the game off with a Stitcher supplier. You want to have a little fodder before you initiate
Right.
the loop. So that way, as you hit combo pieces, you have the ability. Like our smallest combo is what Dualcaster and
Dualcaster, Twin Flame, yeah.
Right.
So
Well, and then as long as you can filter it into mana, which is a good reason to have all of these colorless rocks, so it doesn't matter what color of mana we produce. So that way we can make our double white for our Leon and Relic Warder, slap an Animate Dead on it, some iteration of all of that, and then get there.
This is why Lotus Petal would be essential in this.
It's why it's still in there. I left it in. I try to leave it in with breach decks unless it's just like a value breach deck. Then it's kind of another scenario. So we're at 100 cards. Are there any swaps we want to make, or do we?
Update.
The list might want like one more cantrip effect. The Jeska's Will is amazing, but like we could even run something like Mizzix's Mastery if you sort of want more storm power.
Okay.
That's cute.
I'm just thinking. I'm talking
Yeah,
myself with some of
I'm
this.
just trying to think of like where we would make that cut. So we are running. I am running. Hold on, let me close out all these windows real quick.
So the land count's at 31.
Right.
Do you think we could safely bring it down to 30?
I think so. I tend to, when I start a list, I tend to kind of make it a little heavy so that way we can, we need to add that one thing, and then, it's like, okay, well, we've got the cut. So where we're at color production wise, let's take a quick look. So we're at 29%, so it's 14% white pips, 50% black pips, 40%, 37% red. Our mana production is 30% red, 37%. So there could be an argument for trying to skew a little bit heavier red and black, but it kind of the compensation comes from like the ritual effects and from the rocks. Mm-hmm. So we could unfortunately we're down to I would almost be okay with cutting the basic planes, because I don't really find at any point we're gonna want to find that card. We definitely want the mountains and the swamps, but I don't.
You'll definitely be able to compensate with the signets and talismans.
Yeah, it being a splash. So I think we could go without one of each basic. If
there are times where you want to find the planes, but it's not common. But it does happen. So
I mean, we could cut one swamp, but I'm hesitant with we're already kind of a little bit on the struggle side of keeping the mana where we need it. That I would say probably the plains is the way to go. I could be wrong.
We could actually cut Emergence Zone potentially.
Yeah, because we're not playing any payoffs for it.
Right, we're down the Necropotence. It still works with a lot of the Reanimator stuff that we could do, like instant speed. Don't get me wrong, instant speed, Entomb, Reanimate, Villas is pretty gas.
Yeah,
but it's not. I don't think we need it as much. if the color production is more
It
important
is.
here.
I think so.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I would seriously cut I would actually cut the emergence zone for what's that card that came out with Throne of Eldraine? It's like an instant speed discard one, draw two. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
mm,
Let me look it
so
up.
A thrill of possibility.
Yeah, Thrill of Possibility. I would actually cut Emergent Zone, and I'd either bring in Thrill of Possibility or Reforge the Soul. And the reason why those two is because like you really want to be able to cycle through your deck quickly, and you don't have the same sort of tutor density that a full infinite budget deck would have. So
we're
you
not
just
playing
need to be able to
Reforge the
make some
Soul.
card velocity.
We're not playing Reforge the Soul. It's $9, and
Are you serious? Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Just Thrill of Possibility then. That's fine.
yep. I threw the throw. I try not to like say like I have a kind of a hard time like making budget suggestions of cards that like people aren't going to keep in their like they're going to throw them away as soon as they can get an upgrade for it. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
maybe like what's the spectacle one like might be a decent one.
Uh, okay. So
Light up the
remember,
stage.
this deck gets stronger by having cards in the graveyard. You don't really want to exile them.
Exile 'em. What
It's
about
not
Faithless Looting?
that should be in the deck.
Is it? Let me make
It
sure. I
is.
don't think I would have cut it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in there.
Let me think. God, there's gotta be.
You don't want to run Cathartic Reunion. Even though it's very good, there's a lot of blue mages that just see you cast the card and they get so tempted to counter it that they, will think, oh, he's dead. And of course, you're never dead when they counter it, but usually what it
Right.
does is the next player in line just combos off anyways.
Right.
So,
I was gonna say
like,
there's
don't
like
just
no, because we're not really doing reanimate. What about like so one of the ones that I've been kind of keen on lately and it's pretty cheap is Vampiric Rites. It's a one
So
mana
one mana black, sacrifice a creature.
it's one mana enchantment, pay 2, sack a creature, draw a card, and gain a life.
I think that's better in more of a mid-rangey type
Okay. Yeah, I
strategy.
tend to a lot of the decks I make are a little more mid rangey. So I was just thinking it might work with like a breach line or something too.
It probably does. Just so that's the thing is that you got to think about like what's the worst case scenario, which is
Mhm.
with the card doesn't have the breach, and
Right.
so you don't usually want to be sacking cards for value
So yeah.
with
No,
Kaalia.
you're right. You're right. I don't know, man. You guys want to maybe let's play test a couple of hands real quick.
Sure, let's do it.
Why are you laughing
Yeah.
at me?
No, I think it's actually awesome. I'm surprised that like it ported over relatively seamlessly.
Dude, this happens better than people think. All right, so our opening hand is a Isolated Chapel, Runescar Demon, Mana Vault, a Dockside, Prismatic Lens, Grim Tutor, and a Dark Ritual. So this
Snap
hand is
key.
no, it's
Snap key.
unkeepable. Unkeepable. Our first turn land comes into play tapped, so we're not doing anything till turn 2.
That's okay.
You think so?
Yeah,
So
I do.
the dark ritual would catch you up. You wouldn't
Yeah.
ramp ahead. The ritual would catch you up.
Next turn it would, but we're not. We're playing land tap pass.
That's fine.
It also depends on what turn order. What we're
Okay.
in the turn
All right.
order.
All right. Well, then I'll draw our
This
first
might be a
card.
turn 2 kill. Can you show me share your screen just because I want
Yeah.
to see?
Okay.
But this might actually, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm smelling turn 2 kill vibes.
I'm smelling. We going to catch a bad case of death here.
No, well, let's see.
But that's okay, dude. I'm the blue.
Oh, you're
control
using
player.
Moxfield. Okay. So
All right.
yeah. You need your red prismatic lens. You have to filter with that thing.
Yeah. So I drew our first card. It was this.
Uh-huh. So yeah,
So-
throw down your isolated chapel and pass.
Next turn. Turn 2. There
Yep.
we go.
Yep. Throw it down.
Lose 2.
So now, usually on turn 2, Dockside makes about 4 mana, but that's going to change depending on your play group.
Yeah, it'll probably make
we-
like 2. Well,
uh,
most. I mean,
so it depends. If there's green at the table, they're going to be playing like wild growth effects and stuff like that.
That's
If there's
true.
blue, you might like again. There's a lot of variables for this one, so we could put it
Right.
like 3. So you have
So I would for sure
4.
go Dark Ritual
Uh-huh.
in
So you
default.
want to keep your black. Yeah, so you got 2 black, 3 colorless now.
I mean, that's
So
enough
5,
to cast
6.
this.
We need one more card in the graveyard to get the spell mastery.
That is true. That eats up all of our black. Tap for 2.
That's 5. So you have 6 mana now. You can no, don't play that. Don't play that. Don't play that. Let me think.
Well, if we play this, we can filter. And even if Dockside
Play
makes
the-
3 makes
I think
3
you play
mana.
the Dockside for 3. Yeah, I think you play the Dockside down here.
Yeah.
So float 2. So we have 2 black, 2 colorless, play Dockside. We'll say it
So
makes
that's like
3
3
mana,
treasures.
which isn't unusual on turn 2. So that gives us access to 7 mana. That still
So
doesn't
you're
turn-
almost up here into the abyss. You could Grim Tutor here.
Well, that eats all of our. Okay. So now we're at
No,
4
because
mana.
you still have the treasures. So you're 2 black floating and 1 colorless down.
So we have 1
you have 1
treasure
colorless.
and we have 2 colorless. Or 1 colorless
Right, so you got-
left.
4 left.
Yep. 3 treasures, 1 colorless left. And then we go and get what?
Culling the Weak, I think.
Get Culling the Week? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm bad at this. Culling. Don't pop up. Higher is much faster at this than I am.
It's okay. It just takes. You just have to run through it many, many times.
Yeah, well, I'm just. Move to hand. Okay. So we crack 1 treasure. Go to 2 treasures, 1 colorless floating, cast Culling of the Week.
Yep.
We go to 4 black, 1 or 4 black, 1 colorless, 2 treasures.
2 treasures.
2 treasures. Yeah.
Now
1
we
black,
cast
1 color, so 5, 7. You have 7. So now you actually are looking at ad nauseum, but you don't have a high amount of 0 drops.
No.
You could also just go for Breach here, and then try to set up Stitchel Supplier, which I think would be my line.
Okay. I can
So-
get behind that. So we cast
And the
this.
reason why is because you have the Culling the Weak in the graveyard already.
Right. And we have a Dockside that
Yeah, and you got the
technically
Dockside.
Dockside.
is mana
You
positive.
can also, if you end up with a way to discard cards, you can throw the Runescar Demon in the graveyard and start using that to chain different things.
Okay.
Um,
So this is turn 2 with a $500 CH.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I know, right? People think I'm crazy. I mean, you're also gonna have hands where you're like Mind Stone, Fellware Stone, Prismatic Lens. But all right,
Okay.
so we basically have a game plan there. So let's do one more real quick. Let's restart. Okay, so we've got Infernal Plunge.
This is a lot of mana, but it's a trap. So like these are my saddest hands. Okay, so for anybody watching this and trying to wonder why cards like this are traps, payouts. So like in my Kaalia deck, payouts to do with all this mana, like your demons, your demonic tutors, they're about 1 in 4. So 1 out of every 4 draws, on average, will be a payout. But it's totally random. You could get unlucky, and maybe it's 1 out of. You don't have to spend 6 turns till you find one.
Right.
If this was a Timna deck, this is a snap keep. But here, it's totally on the luck of the draw.
We would have
So
gotten
you have
lucky,
to-
but yeah, most
Right.
of the time you won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, one tutor would change this hand completely.
Yep.
Well, or just naturally drawing in a Razaketh on turn 2.
Yeah. See, exactly. That's the thing is that
Of the draw.
if it works out, the hand is amazing, but these hands are always gambles.
Right.
So,
Well, and this hand also folds to a single counter spell.
right, right.
Like just any interaction anywhere, and we're just like done.
So
So
the
let's
way
definitely pitch it for another 7.
yeah.
All right. So we've got Mana Confluence, Duress. We've got Diabolic Intent, Smoldering Marsh, Pyroblast. So we have 2 interaction spells, Dual Caster Mage, and a Swamp. So I sometimes will use Dual Caster Mage as interaction. So what do you think, Clay?
Yes.
Keep
It's
it?
all interaction. I wouldn't keep it. It's too slow.
Yeah, it's too
Okay.
slow. The one benefit about this is that you have double tutors with dual caster into diabolic intent. It's like dual caster here is probably not interacting. It's probably copying somebody else's demonic tutor or their ad
Right.
nauseam or whatever.
Something.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but you're gated by action on turn 3, which is probably too slow. So I would mull this too.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to 6. So we've got Necromancy, Fabled Passage, Dark Petition, Swamp, Mausoleum Secrets, Kodotha Rebirth, and Villis. And we have to pitch a card to the bottom.
So okay, this isn't a great hand. However, you have a game plan.
What's the
Right.
game plan? I don't see it.
So the game plan is that you're trying to get Kaalia out and drop the Villas. If that happens, you're probably gonna win.
Okay.
But it is slow. This is a turn 5 win currently.
Well, so the Kodotha Rebirth is uncastable right now.
Correct.
Mausoleum Secrets gets us no cards in our deck. We have one land that makes lands come into play tapped and another basic.
And
we have
then
a 5 mana tutor. We have a 5 mana tutor and a necromancy.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. This is like a turn 5. Like there's a plan here, but you're not doing anything till turn. You're not gonna win till turn 5.
Which
Right.
isn't
Not deck like a
unreasonable, like in a deck, like in these types of pods. Like if you're playing like, 7s and 8s, but you guys would keep this? I would pitch it.
I wouldn't. I'm more of just explaining for people, like in terms of how you evaluate this stuff. Like in a stacks pod, somebody I would not keep this, but there is a plan here, basically.
Right. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see what the top couple of draws are. So we get an Ephemerate, and we get our land that fixes our mana for us. A little bit. So I think we're going to bottom... I would bottom the Kodotha Rebirth on it, probably.
Yep.
Because it seems kind of like
it's
the
a combo
weakest.
card.
And then we would go... So those are our first 2 draws, so we'll put that on top. I would honestly...
It's still a turn 5.
Yeah. Play land. Actually, no, I wouldn't play that. I would probably play that. And this is where we would actually want that basic plains in this instance.
Mm.
But we cut it. So maybe we would cut it. Maybe cut one of the swamps out. But I just have a hard time doing it because it's so black heavy.
Right. So this is the trick about Mardu, which is that when you want white, you oftentimes want it in doubles.
Yeah.
So like it's you get a lot more value out of the basic planes than you would think you do.
So maybe we'll swap the basic planes back in. And these are the kind of things you only get from like play testing the hands a little bit. So for those at home that are new to CDH or thinking about getting into it, a lot of times what we will do as deck builders and established CDH players, we will build a deck on one of these types of deck builder sites. We will goldfish it a little bit to see like what the hands are like and kind of how it plays before we even think about sleeving a card up, buying anything, print anything off, any of those amalgamations, so we can learn things like, oh, we now need to find a slot for our basic planes because the couple of fetch sources we have will help us fix if we have a basic planes. Otherwise, we get into these awkward situations where like Now we can get double red, double black, but we can't get white, and we for sure can't get Kallia out. So
couldn't have said it better myself. Like, testing is so crucial. Like, you can't just build decks on theory alone.
nope. All right, so now that we kind of came to that conclusion, let's back out of here for a second.
I would risk the mulligan to 5 on that, but yeah.
So I'm gonna. Oh, I did leave the planes in. Oops.
Huh?
That's right, because we took out emergent zone.
Emergent zone instead. Oops. My bad. See? I'm not. Well, let's look at this hand. Exotic Orchard, Spire, Thrill of Possibility, Shred Memory,
Tutor,
Prospector,
Skirt,
Blood Crypt, and an Ash Barrens that'll go get us the whatever color we don't have.
Yeah, I would keep this. I'd put back the Spire of Industry and possibly the Ash Barrens, and then I'd keep, because we're still going down to 5.
All right.
Yep.
So the Skirt Prospector at least gets you to 3 mana on turn 2, which is not crazy, but it's getting towards where you need to be.
So
it's also the possibility of fodder for one of our sack outlets if we draw into it with possibility.
It's also a sack outlet for Dockside.
Yes, 100%.
All right.
Like,
So
this is another one that has a plan. It's not stellar, but I would keep this at 5.
All right. So this is going to go to the bottom of the library. And you said get rid of the Spire?
Yeah, because we don't have any artifacts
No
yet.
artifacts, yeah.
Okay. Bottom. All right. So here will be our draw for turn. There's a Naz. So
You shred memory for Dockside.
okay, so we got to get the double black first. So calm down there. So red, that. Next turn. Ha!
Yeah,
Play that.
Okay, this is why the ratios of card types are so important. Like, yeah, you can top deck like a god, it's true, but you're more likely to top
deck like a god if you have the stuff. So here's the question.
Yes.
Do we just play this out and wait so that way we can so we can activate it, because the shred memory will cost 3, and we don't really have any other plays, but we want to keep this around for when we get to Dockside so that way we can add Naz.
So we've got sort of a micro choice here. We can even do this at instant speed. We could cycle the Thrill of Possibility trying to find a land, but we're at 4 mana, turn 3. We just need to hit a land off the top.
Right, but what card are we going to discard? We have Ad Nauseam and a Tutor.
I don't know if we would. What I might do is just shred memory, sacking the... Well, it's okay. So it really depends on how mana efficient and what the table politics is like. If everybody's super... if people are looking like they're...
I got a turtle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a turn 3 ad nauseum. The question is just like, do you want to go into it with Dockside up, or do you want to try to get a top deck of land?
I would
that
almost...
would be dependent heavily on the table.
Yeah, that's right.
I would personally probably think that... So from my experience, and it is pretty limited, like I haven't played a vast amount of budget games, but I used to play a lot of mid power and high power, and I would probably say let's go 1 card deeper and like execute that plan next turn. Put a charge counter this turn, cycle, get 1 more card deeper, and see if we have something worth pitching to the Thrill of Possibility, or we'll at least have the mana to tutor up the Dockside.
It's fair. Also, remember, next turn we're going to be able to cast Kaalia. So like we really have a plethora of options.
Yeah,
available.
That's why I don't want to burn it right now, just to like maybe set up. Like I would rather try to get us 1 card deeper, probably most people on turn 2 are just going to be ramping anyway. So there's not going to be a... So on our turn 3, most people will still be tapped out. They will... All right, so let's put a charge counter here. And then we'll go to the next turn. All right, you got to land.
There you go. So now you have a main phase ad nauseum. So something to note before you do this: you don't have a lot of 0 drops in the deck. So we would really want to hit Chromox, Simeon Spirit Guide here, like those,
and Lotus Petal.
And Lotus Petal, thank you. So those are our big ones. That's really gonna basically it's a 3 in however many cards are left in the deck.
Hey,
so
let me introduce you to our friend End Step Ad Nauseum.
Yeah, that's what I would do here. I would in-step the Nos and try to win on turn 4. Other than for anybody who's like a math geek and loves the probabilities of this kind of stuff, it's a 3 in however many cards. It's the average CMC that you're going to hit off the ad nauseum. So like, I don't know, maybe you dig 20, 24 cards here.
I think we're,
and
I
then
think when I looked, we're like 2.13.
2.13. Okay. So yeah, we'll
go about 15 cards deep, roughly.
Yeah. Okay. So then this is an in-step Nos for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm spitballing it. Like, that's not hard math, but I think we could go boop 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 boop, sack at somebody's end step because somebody tried to do something scary and they countered it. So we're like, oh, thank you, boys, gotcha.
Well, this would also be like an opportunity as well if somebody's trying to do something silly and there's a nice interaction pile on the stack and what have you, and it's not presenting necessarily a winning combo turn for somebody else. You can sneak this in, because we are Mardu, onto the stack. Then
we're just gonna sneak it in there. Yep, slip it in the back door. Yep. I did. Yep. Let me put everything where it belongs. All right, so let's do this Nos at end step or when somebody does something scary. So we're at 38 life right now on turn 3. So we just took 5.
33.
Well, luckily we're took 2. Yeah, you'll see why I was like, let's end step this. So we just took 4 more.
So like 27.
Yep. 2 more.
5.
Brick, 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 brick. 1. Calling of the week 1. So this isn't looking bad.
No, this is. Oh, so we actually might have been. Maybe not. Yeah, keep going.
No, because we wouldn't have had the mana to do all of this. That's 5. Puts us to 18.
Mm.
Oh, we're fine. We can keep going. 17.
Grit. More gas.
So 17. 14. I think we can do Ephemerate.
Top at 8. Like, 8 is the lowest you want to go if you're playing conservatively.
That puts us to 10.
You got one more flip. 9. You can go one
9.
more. Keep going.
Yahtzee!
Yeah.
Yahtzee right
You're
there.
good. This actually, I'm curious. I wonder if we could have main phased this. So we got the Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal would hit Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual drops your Talisman, which drops Dockside. Dockside culling the week. Yeah, you could have main phased. What's this one?
On turn 3?
Yeah, you got lucky in this case. Like, guys, so the only way that we would have been able to main phase Nos this is, again, if we hit one of our 3 0-drop rocks, and in this case we did. We hit the Lotus Petal.
Yeah.
But if we got unlucky and we just saw the rest of these cards without the petal, we would be stuck. So.
But that's why I wanted to do it, because you do want to play it a little bit safer because you don't have all of that fast mana.
Right. But yeah, for people, again, if you're building on a budget, this is right here the reason why the 0-drop rocks are so important.
Yep.
And as you start putting making this deck more and more your own, you're going to want to reach into those. You're going to basically want to increase the count of those.
Try to maximize those as much as you can. Yeah. Like, I would definitely, one of the first purchases, if I had the money, would be Mana Crypt. For sure. Mostly because it helps you Mana Crypt and also Ancient Tomb, actually. Because those will help you get those 2 mana rocks down faster with less, like, trouble. Do you guys want to do one more and then call it a night? Because I know it's late for you, Clay.
No worries. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's restart.
Watching you flip over those cards, I'm feeling the feelings inside of my the cockles of my heart. So it's like
the
know.
tingliness here. So we have we have a Diabolic Intent. We have a Swamp, Fire Covenant, Swamp, Grave Cairns, which is good. It's a good land.
So there's no
Signet.
creature.
Yeah, there's no creature.
There's no creature, and the Grave Cairns isn't active till turn 2.
I mean, the Grave Cairn, yeah. I mean, so we've got to... So if we hit something decent in our first 3 draws, I mean, at worst case scenario, we have a turn 3 Kaalia, and then we just need to, like, find anything to turn this on.
You can sacrifice the Kaalia to the Diabolic Intent.
You can.
If we had more... I would be inclined to mulligan this, except if you're playing against opponent, a Staxia table.
A real slow pod.
Right.
Especially if it's like hate bear centric.
Exactly.
Right.
Like against Stax decks, the Fire Covenant's going to melt them, and eventually you're going to come out on top because you kept these 3 lands. Like Stax decks want to attack your mana base, and so just having something stupid like 3 land drops be insured goes a long way as the game goes on.
Also, don't forget the unwritten rule of Commander, which is no MLD. That's why land-based ramp is so important, because people tend to not screw with it too much.
Too much.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's flip the first couple. A Nausea to an Infernal Plunge. So we're definitely sacking Kaalia to something.
Yeah.
Are we playing Kaalia on 3? And then immediately...
No, I think that's correct. Yeah, so I would play Kaalia out on 3. You could even, so if you wanted to be kind of crazy, you could, depending on how much artifacts or enchantments on the board, you can sack Kaalia to Diabolic Intent, find Dockside, sack the Dockside to Infernal Plunge, and then go off with an Ad Nauseam with a lot of mana. And because you have so much mana, that should enable a main phase win.
Yeah. And then turn 3. So we could play Kaalia on 3, untap on 4, and then do that. Yeah. Okay. That seems pretty good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead.
It's a little bit of a shame we didn't see any demon hands, but even with this one, you could, play the Ad Nauseam. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
You want me to keep going with this hand?
Nah. I think people know that this is going to be a Storm win.
Yep. All right. I think we've given kind of everybody, a nice little feel for the deck. So I'm going to close that. All right. So any last adjustments you guys think we might make to the list after playing a few hands with it? So we're at 518, which is within range because Kaalia's $10, so we're really only $8 over, not counting the commander. So obviously, in my opinion, probably a couple of the first upgrades that I would put in the deck would be a Mana Vault, which is about $40, and probably a Demonic Tutor. Maybe a Mox Opal.
Especially with it being reprinted, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a Mox Opal, because it's still pretty cheap, comparatively as far as Magic cards are concerned. Also, if you find yourself wanting to retro increase your artifact count, and you're not on too many hate bear decks against you, too many collector oofs, too many null rods, you can play you could sub out a swamp and play a Vault of Whispers and you could cut a mountain and play the Great Furnace, and that will up your artifact count without, and then still kind of keep them in line. But I definitely would not recommend that if there's a lot of Collector Oof style effects running around. Vandal
Yeah, that's feel bad.
Yeah, you're just like, you got me. Okay. So, Clay,
Yes, sir.
Bad Dog, you guys run the Kaalia Discord. I will link the Discord with both of the lists in the description of the notes. Do you guys have anything you'd like to plug? Clay, you first.
Oh, there's always something happening on the Call You Discord. By all means, stop by and see us. If you have any questions, we cover everything from budget brews to top tier CDH. Yeah, stop by.
I think you're forgetting something.
Oh,
A certain little channel somebody has been tinkering with lately.
I was
People
trying
that try hard.
no doubt. So I am the, I guess, president, CEO, what have you, of a new channel offering on the YouTubes. We also have an associated Discord. We are the tryhards, not the derogatory sense, trying to reclaim the term, for the peeps. So yeah, we focus on CDH and uber competitive Pauper Commander.
Okay.
So we'll put the information out there for you folks there if you're interested.
I'll link it as well. And anything
So,
for you,
thank you, sir.
Bad Dog? Where can people play with you?
Oh, you guys should look up this thing called CDH Games. We're very creative in our name choice. However, it's one of we have tri-weekly leagues. So if you want to play competitive EDH with a competitive mindset against people who are just playing whatever they want, but they're absolutely serious about what they're doing, come play some leagues with us, come play some games. It's a great way to learn about all of the fundamentals for this format. And yeah, I mean, we hope to see you there.
Okay. And Clay, where can people play with you?
Oh, absolutely. We play twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, on our Discord server.
Okay.
So stop by.
About what time?
6 p.m. Central.
6 p.m. Central. Okay. So guys, thanks for joining me. And
Thank you.
everybody, have a good night.
Have a nice evening.